In this lecture, we are going to discuss the numerical integration. This is the second lecture in the series of numerical analysis in MATLAB. In the first lecture, we have already discussed on uh, different kinds of errors that comes in numerical calculations, and we have already discussed numerical differentiation. Numerical integrations, the most commonly used numerical integration techniques are these three, which are listed here: trapezoidal rule, Simpson's one-third rule, and Simpson's 3/8 rule. As you can see in the picture, this third picture is what is the trapezoidal rule. So this is the trapezoidal rule. This is trapezoidal rule, and Simpson's one-third rule is this one. This is the Simpson's one-third rule, and this is Simpson's 3/8 rule. Okay. So what is the idea? Let us first understand through this graphical representation of the integration, and then we'll go to the coding of the integration. From this picture, we know that the basic idea of the integration we try to represent in a graphical format, it is basically area under some curve, and that curve is basically the function. So in the y-axis, it is basically the function of x, which has been represented, and in the x-axis, it is basically the x. Okay. So now let us consider this is the function which is given here as f. F is the function, and we want to find out the area under this curve, blue curve, from within a range x is equal to a to x is equal to b. So we are basically interested to find out the area under this blue curve. So what is the area under this blue curve? Definitely the area under this blue curve is nothing but the shaded area I am showing right now. So this is basically the area under the curve. And if we want to calculate this, we know that this is nothing but integration x is equal to a to b, that particular function fx multiplied by dx. So this is basically the area under the curve that has been shown by the red hatch line. That is what we want to find out. Now, in a numerical approximation, what we can do to find this integration by numerical technique, what we are doing, observe carefully that in this range from a to b, let us take one point corresponding to x is equal to a. Let us say this height is fa, and corresponding to b, the functional value is fb. So this height is basically fb, and we just join these 2 points by a straight line. We just join these 2 points by a straight line, and we are claiming that the area under this trapezium, you see that this is now, if we just join these two by a straight line, it will form a trapezium. Then this area we are approximating as the this integration between x is equal to a to x is equal to b. And definitely it is clear that we will incur some error. What is that error part? Clearly you can see this is what is the error part. This part is error, because in our integration, in numerical integration, if we just calculate this area of the trapezium, then we lose this much of area. So this is not exactly what we are trying to estimate with the trapezoidal. Definitely some error will come, but the idea is this. This is the way how we calculate the area using the trapezoidal rule. Okay, this is what is the basic idea. Now, what are the other rules? Let us first try to understand. Here we are considering only one segment. That means this segment is completely A to B. Definitely we can improve this particular technique, this trapezoidal rule. How we can improve it? We can take small segment instead of a single segment. Here we have taken only a single segment from here to here, and we have considered only one trapezium. But instead of that, what we can do, if we take multiple segment, that means suppose we take two segment. Let us consider this is the exactly midpoint of A and B. This is midpoint of A and B, and we take this is another value, and what we are doing, we just consider this is one trapezium, and then join this point and this point, and we'll get another trapezium. Now you just add these two trapezium, and that will consider as the area of this area under this curve. That means this integration. So now you see that when instead of a single segment, if we consider two segment, the error is less. Okay, it is much closer to the actual value. Now in this way, if we just increase the number of segments, gradually our error will be less and less, and gradually our numerical integration will tend to the actual integral value. This is what is the idea in case of a trapezoidal rule. But basic idea will be cleared when we are just simply consider the single segment, and that actually extended by considering multiple segment and add those areas. That is what is the basic idea. Now, exactly in a similar way, in a Simpson's 1/3 rule, what is the idea? The idea is you take three equidistant point in the range where you want to find out the area. Suppose we want to find out the area between x is equal to a and x is equal to b, and in that case, so you want to find out area under this blue curve. Basically, that is what is the objective. What we are doing in this Simpson's 1/3 rule, we will take 3 points in a single segment consideration. Basically, what we are considering, we are going to take 3 equidistant point from A to B. So basically this is 1 point, this is 1 point, A and B are corresponding to A and B are 2 points, and corresponding to this midpoint is another point. So through these 3 points on the curve, what we are going to do, we will predict or we will consider a quadratic polynomial. That means quadratic polynomial is nothing but the parabolic curve. Okay, so quadratic parabola that we are considering, and that area under that curve, area under that parabola will be the numerical approximation of the actual area under the curve of that function. This is what is the idea. Okay, so this is Simpson's 1/3 rule. Okay, so if you want to consider the multiple segments in case of Simpson's 1/3 rule, the idea is basically, observe carefully what you have to do. Definitely, you have to divide the whole segment from A to B into n number of divisions such that that number of segments should be even number. Number of segments should be even number, because always you have to take one point which is exactly middle of that. So you have to divide the whole segment into even number of segments. In case of trapezoidal rule, there is no such criteria. You can divide it into any number of segment. But in case of a Simpson's 1/3 rule, you have to divide it into even number of segments. Okay, so let us consider we divide it into suppose we divide it into, say, this is one segment, and here basically what you can see, how many segments are there. Here basically the 2 segments what we are considering, and that is why you can see that this end and this end are going to give 2 points, are exactly middle. The other point is going to give some value. Suppose you divide it into, suppose there are 10 points, 10 segments. 10 segments. If there are 10 segments, then you can understand, say there are 6 segments. Okay, so in case of a 6 segments, you can understand that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 segments. Now in these 6 segments, when Simpson's one-third rule will be used. You observe carefully what are the points you are going to take when you consider a particular. So you have to consider this is point 1, this is point 2, and this is point 3. So these three is going to give you one parabola. Then this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. These three is going to give you another parabola. Then this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3 is going to give you another parabola. Okay, so when you draw those quadratic polynomial, and area under that curve will give you basically the corresponding integration. This is what is the idea of the Simpson's one-third rule. Now coming to the Simpson's 3/8 rule, it can be extended to any higher order polynomial, definitely by increasing the number of points, but these are most popular. So in case of Simpson's 3/8 rule, you just observe what we have done. We have considered how many points? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 equidistant point in the range. 4 equidistant point in the range. Okay, so if the total length is a, if this is a, this is b, then this distance a minus b, you observe this distance a minus b is actually divided by 3. In this particular case, it is divided by 3. This is what is basically the h. H means length of each segment. So the distance from here to here, if we consider h, this h is a minus b by 3. So equidistant points. And through these 4 points, you just think of one cubic parabola or third order polynomial, and if you find out the area under that polynomial, that is going to give you the corresponding approximation of the numerical integration of the actual function, area under this curve, under that function. Okay, so this is what is the Simpson's 3/8 rule. Why the 1/3 and 3/8? So that will come after calculations. You will understand why the name 1/3 and 3/8 is coming. But this is what is the basic idea how we are going to do the calculations in case of trapezoidal Simpson's 1/3 or Simpson's 3/8 rule. Now let us see the formula. You know what will be the formula if you want to use this actual integration can be approximated as area under the trapezium. In case of a single segment, you can understand what I mean by the single application. That means only single segment 1b, exactly what is shown in the figure. Okay, so what will be the area under this curve? You know that in case of a trapezium, the area is basically sum of the parallel sides. Okay, and the sum of the parallel sides is, you see that fa and fa plus h. So what is h? H is nothing but the whole distance here, b minus a, as you can see, right? So fa plus fb into distance between them divided by 2. So distance between them is h divided by 2. So that is what is the area of the trapezium. So I think this trapezoidal rule, what is the formula, that is completely clear to you. So this is what is the formula to find out using trapezoidal rule. Now for the Simpson's 1/3 rule, if you do the calculation exactly how you have to do, you know that you have to consider that quadratic polynomial or the parabola, and then if you find out the area under the curve, then you will find that it is coming this h by 3 into fa 4fa plus h plus fa plus 2h. That means this value is fa, this is fa, and this value is fb, or fb means fa plus 2h, because you know that in this case this is h and this is h. So if this is a, so a plus 2h means b. Okay, a plus 2h means b. Okay, so this is fa and this is fa plus 2h or fb, whatever you call, and this height is what is f of a plus h, because this value of x is a plus h, so corresponding functional value which is fa plus h. So 4 into fa plus h. So summation of these three quantities multiplied by h by 3. H is the length of each segment divided by 3. So here this 1/3 term is there in the final expression. That is why the name is Simpson's 1/3 rule. That's all. Exactly in a similar way, if you do the calculations for Simpson's 3/8 rule, you will find that it is coming FA. FA means this length, then 3 FA plus H. FA plus H is this height. FA plus 2H is this height. And FA plus 3H means what is B. So FB is this height. So this is what is the expression multiplied by 3/8 into H. Okay, so that will be the formula for the Simpson's 3/8 rule to calculate the integral. Okay, now we have seen what are the formulas. Now let us see what are the formulas for the multiple segments, because you have understood that multiple segments, if we actually calculate, then the error will be minimized, because a single segment, you have observed that in case of a trapezoidal rule, the error will be very large, right? So multiple segment is useful. That is why multiple segments direct formula that we have to use when we are actually going to do the calculations for the integration. So here you can see, instead of a single segment, here we have divided the whole segment into multiple segments. Here we have divided into n different segments. So you can see this is the first segment, this is the second segment, third segment. In this way, total n number of segments we have divided. And what is the x value corresponding to this point? A plus h. X value corresponding to this point? A plus 2h. Okay. So you can understand this h is nothing but what? That is b minus a divided by number of segments. Okay. So once this part is clear, after that, what we have to do, we have to find out the area of the trapezium of each segment, and you have to add if you want to do the trapezoidal rule. Okay, so you have to add all this area of the trapezium. So if you do that, then what you will end up with, you observe, it will end up with, in case of a trapezoidal rule, is h by 2 into f0 plus 2 into f1, f2, f3, fn minus 1, and finally plus fn. So what is f0? F0 is basically fa. F0 is what? F0 is basically fa, and fa plus h means what? If a plus h means f1. Okay, so this is what is the name that is given. If a plus h is f1, if a plus nh is fn. So if we give this kind of a name, and then it is expressed in those terms. So this is a very simple algebra. If you just do it few lines, you can easily derive these things, how it is coming. It's a very simple one. Now, exactly in a similar way, if you do for the Simpson's 1/3 rule or for the Simpson's 3/8 rule, you will get this kind of a formula where you can see, if you write in this way, in the Simpson's 1/3 rule, it will be h by 3, f0 plus 4, f1, 3, fn minus 1. So here you observe the even numbers are not there, only the odd numbers are there, f1, f3, like that. Okay, so already you know what is f1. F1 means fa plus h, so like that. And plus 2 into the even terms, that is f2, f4, fn minus 2, and finally fn is there. Okay, so you have to remember this pattern, how it is going. And in the Simpson's 3/8 rule, if you see the formula, it is coming 3h by 8 into f0 plus 3 into, now see the terms, these terms are basically, you see f1, f2, then f4. So which one is missing? F3 is missing. Then f4, f5, then f6 will be missing. Then f7, f8, f9 will be missing, like that. So 3 into this term, and those who are missing, that is f3, f6, those will be added and multiplied by 2. So this is what is the pattern that will finally end up with if you do the calculation in case of a Simpson's 3/8 rule. Okay, so but the direct formula you can remember and you can use definitely. But I personally prefer during coding, write the single segment formula and use the for loop to calculate and sum all the individual segments. Okay, so I will do in both the ways. So what I am telling is that individual segment you find out the area and use the for loop to calculate each of the area, then sum all these things. You need not to remember all this formula. So this is one way of doing this. Another way, you can just remember the formula and you can do the numerical integration in that way also, no problem. Anyway, so let us try to solve one problem so that you can understand that how to actually solve through coding a numerical integration. So here the example problem that we are going to take, that a function fx we have considered, say 2 minus x plus ln x. Okay, 2 minus x plus ln x. So what we want to do, we want to find out the integration from a is equal to 1 to 2, b is basically 2, and the function is what, 2 minus x plus ln x dx. So we want to find out this integration, this definite integration we want to find out, but we are going to find out through numerical integration, not the conventional integration. Okay, definitely we can do it by conventional integration and we can find out the result, and finally we can check whether our numerical integration is accurate or not. So definitely it will give some error and we will be able to calculate the how much error it is producing. So this is the problem, and the thing that is given, that you solve this problem considering n is equal to 5. That means you consider 5 segments, or you consider 10 segment, or you consider 15 or 20. So you consider all these intervals and you check whether your error is gradually decreasing or not. Definitely it should decrease, and make a log-log plot or of error using trapezoidal rule and the Simpson's 1/3 rule. So let us try to solve this problem. Okay, so to solve this problem, the first thing is that it is better not writing all this function a number of times when we are going to do all these calculations, because you can see that when we are going to do this integration, we have to calculate the functional value at different value, like functional value at a, functional value at a plus h. So what we have to do, we have to put this functional value, the value of x as a, and then you have to calculate this quantity whole. Then you put a plus h and you have to calculate. So better that you create this function, this particular function, as a function file, and we'll call it in our script file. So it is the thing that we are going to do. So we have created that function file first. So to create that function file, you know how we generate the function file. The function file name is given myfunc, myfunc.m automatically will be created. If you write edit space myfunc.m, it will be created, and within that myfunc.m you just create that function. Okay, so let me show you how the function actually look like. Here you see myfunc. So here you can see that wait. Okay, so here you see that okay, so here you can see that function, you know that how to write the function file. Function f is equal to myfunc, x is the variable that we are going to use. This is the input that you have to pass when you call that myfunc function, and this f output will be what? 2 minus x plus log of x. Okay, so this is basically a function file. So if we want to call this in the any script file, you have to call by myfunc. That you have to remember. Okay, so now here you see that already that file is created. Now initially what has been done, the actual integration has been done to finally check whether any error is there or not. So actual integration, you know, if you do this integration, 2 will become 2x, then x will become x square by 2, and log x will become x log x minus x. So initial 2x minus x will become only x. So this is what is the integration, and the limit is given a to b, and a and b are 1, you know, 1 and 2. So the true value of the integration you just calculate from the actual integration, and finally it is coming 0.8863. So this is the actual answer of this integration, 0.8863. Now let us try to solve this problem using trapezoidal rule. So in trapezoidal rule, we are going to consider, say there are 20 number of segments. So n is equal to 20. So what will be the value of h? H is basically b minus a divided by 20. Already b and a defined. So you just write b minus a by 20. Here you see that h is coming 0.05. Then you create x as an array, and that array will contain the values from a to b with equidistant values, and the increment is basically the h. Okay, so the x is now going to contain, what are the values that x is going to contain? Basically it contains a plus h, a plus 2h, like that, up to a plus nh, because a plus nh is nothing but b. Okay, so this is what is x. So within x, basically this particular matrix is there, this array is there. Okay, so that you can see over here, that 1.05, like that. This is what is x contain. It's a vector, remember. Okay, now if already you have defined, so sorry, myfunc already we have defined. So within f we have created a new variable, say f. Now f we are assigning myfunc x. So x is a vector that we are passing, so f will also become a vector, and that will actually calculate all the functional values corresponding to each element of the x. So what f will now contain? F will now contain these values. So basically this f function will contain what? This f function is basically contain an matrix whose first value is fa, its second value is f of a plus h. Okay, like that, f of a plus nh. So this is what f is going to contain. And what is x? X is basically a plus h, like that. So that you have understood. Now after creating all the values of f, we will simply use our formula to calculate the area, and we will sum all this area to find out the total integral result, because integration is nothing but the summation of all the, since we have divided into multiple segments. So let us see how we are doing it. It's very simple. What we have considered one variable called num value underscore trap underscore interval. So basically trapezoidal rule, and the interval, that means it is basically containing the area of each interval. Okay, so this particular variable name actually indicates that if this is the, let us consider this is the area, and we want to calculate from a to b, area under that. So we have suppose divided into few segments. So this is the trapezium maybe. So this area is some area 1, then this area is say area 2, if you consider this trapezium. So this a1, a2, a3, these are basically A1, A2, A3, these are the elements of this particular matrix. This is again an array, and that is going to contain the area of each segment. That's all. Okay. So initially what we have done, we have initialized all the values of that particular vector or the matrix is 0. So what we have written, observe, zeros, one row, and there are n number of segment. You know, there are n number of elements because n number of segments are there, so n areas will be there. So one row, n column, and all the values initially assigned as 0. Okay, then what we are doing, so for I 1 to n, for I is equal to 1 to n, you see this particular variable that is going to contain all this area. The first I is equal to 1. So the first value, that means the first element, will be what? Will be equal to area of the first segment. What is the formula of the area of the first segment? H by 2 into this height plus this height. This height is what? Fi, and this height is what? Fi plus 1. So what is I? Initially I is 1, so this is F1 and this is F2. Remember, this F1 that is written in the direct formula is different from this F1. This F1 is basically Fa. Okay, F2 is what? F2 is F of A plus H. Okay, that means the second value in that element. Okay, so basically here you see this is F, when I is equal to 1, this is F1 plus F2 multiplied by H by 2. This is what is the formula how we calculate the area of the trapezium of a single segment. And that is again true when you consider I is equal to 2, when you consider I is equal to 3 in this way. Okay, so in this way, within that particular variable, within this particular variable, all the area will now store as an element. What will be the final job? Final job is to find out summation of all these elements. How can we find the summation of all the elements of any matrix? We use sum. So sum that particular array, if we write, then it will produce the summation of all this area. So simply that we have stored within numerical value underscore trapezoidal rule basically. Okay, within that variable, our numerical integration is coming 0.8862. What was our actual value? We have seen our actual value of integration, that was 0.8863. By trapezoidal rule, it is coming 0.8862. So it is close. Exactly in a similar way, you can also using the direct formula. I have not used the direct formula because I have used the for loop calculating single segment and then using the for loop and finally summing up all this area. Or you can use the direct formula, and in this way also you can calculate. This is also simple. Now coming to the error in the trapezoidal rule, already we know the true value of the integration. So if you subtract numerical value from the true value and take the absolute value, absolute of that, then you will get the error. So error is coming 1.04 10 to the power minus 4. Now in the Simpson's 1/3 rule, exactly in a similar way we can do it. You take n is equal to 20, take h is equal to b minus a by n, and x is equal to as previous, and f is what we have done earlier. All these steps are same. Now only thing that is going to change, now instead of that formula of a trapezoidal, now we have to use the formula for the Simpson's 1/3 rule for a single segment you have seen. And that is what? That is Fi for Fi plus 1 plus Fi plus 2. Okay, but here you only thing remember that the n that you are taking here definitely has to be some even number. Okay, that n has to be even number because when you are dividing, remember the value of I that you are putting. Let us consider this is the segment and you want to find out the area. Suppose this is 2, 3 like that. When you are dividing it, so initially you are taking this value, and this value. Okay, so the first, when you are considering this is I, that means I is equal to say 1, then it is going to take the functional value, this one, this functional value, this functional value, this functional value, and this functional value. This is I, this is I plus 1, and this is I plus 2. So these 3 points, it will consider some quadratic polynomial, find out the area, and doing everything. What is the next thing that it is going to calculate? The first, it will be I is equal to 1, but the next thing that it is going to calculate is these 3 values. These 3 values. This, and this. So first, if it is calculating for I is equal to 1, then it will start with what is the for loop, the next I value. It is not I is equal to 2. It will be I is equal to 3. Okay. So the increment of I is basically not 1, but the increment of I will be 2. So initially 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, like that. Okay, that is why you observe that for loop that we have used here, 1, but the increment is 2, and it will go up to n minus 1. Okay, so remaining thing are exactly same. You after that you have to add all these values, area within these segments, and you will get the value. And you can see that Simpson's 1/3 rule is giving a better result, almost 0.8863. If you just calculate the error, you will find the error that is coming is very small. Here you see the error is coming in the order of 10 to the power minus 8. Okay, so it's a very small error which is coming, and you can also use the direct formula. So that Simpson's 1/3 rule, that also you can use. Now after that, you can also use the inbuilt MATLAB integral function, to do the integration. Instead of this kind of numerical integration, directly you can use the MATLAB inbuilt function. So for the MATLAB inbuilt function, to use the MATLAB inbuilt function, you have to remember this syntax, how to use it. Okay, so first thing is that you have to create a function file. Why the function file you have to create? Because that function will be integrated. So if you want to integrate any function fx dx from a to b, so first step is that you create a function file of the corresponding function. Okay, as we have already created, like which was given, we have separately created the function file. The first step is that you have to create that function file, the function that you want to integrate, and then you observe that the thing is that the syntax that you have to use, that integral, it is written in the italics. Observe integral, then you observe within bracket you are writing everything, at the rate, within bracket x. X is the variable that you have to mention, and then you write the function file name that you have given, the function file name that you have given for that function, and within bracket you write the input. Okay, so there may be multiple inputs, so that multiple input also you have to write here. At the rate, you can write here, instead of x you can write yz, but the same thing that you have to write here and here, these two should be same. Okay, and then finally by comma separated you have to give the range of the values of x over which you want to find that definite integration. Okay, so a comma b is basically what is the range. So this is the syntax that you have to give, and then it will automatically create the integration for you. Okay, so let us take one example, that this problem, where the problem is that it is known that the hot oil is flowing over a flat plate, and the wall shear stress is varying along the length of the plate as given by this formula, where the density, free stream velocity, viscosity, and the length of the plate, that is known. The problem is you have to find out the total drag force acting on that plate. So the problem is there is a plate, okay, and the length of the plate is given, and over the plate some hot oil is flowing. The hot oil is flowing, and the properties of the oil, the velocity of the oil u infinity is given, and the viscosity of the oil, those are given. The question is, when the oil is flowing over it, how much force that particular plate is going to experience. Okay, so what force is coming on the plate? So definitely plate is going to experience a force in this direction, and this is what is the drag force that plate is going to feel. So you have to find out that drag force that is coming on the plate. Okay, so to find out that, what we can do, we have to see that what is the shear stress which is coming. If you consider it's a two-dimensional plate like this, so if you take at any location from here, let us consider this location is x from the leading edge. So this is the leading edge, and this is x. So at a distance x, the shear stress that is given, okay, the wall shear stress at this wall shear stress that is given at a distance x. So what you can do, you consider a very small area such that you can consider that over that small area dx, over that small area dx, as if the wall shear stress is the same, because the dx is very small. Okay, so if wall shear stress is same, you know that wall shear stress into area is basically the force. Stress into area is basically the force. So wall shear stress multiplied by that small area. So what is that small area? The small area, if the width of the plate, if the width of the plate you consider is 1, if you consider the unit width, okay, so 1 into dx is basically the area. Okay, so this is what is basically the small drag force which is acting, and this dA is nothing but what, 1 into dx, because 1 is the width that we of the plate that we are considering into dx. So this is the small force which is acting on this small area. Now what you have to do, you have to integrate this x from x is equal to 0 to the x is equal to L to find out the total drag force that is acting over the plate. Okay, and so that value will be simply integration of this tau wall into dx from x is equal to 0 to L. So this is what is the total drag force per unit width. That means we have already considered unit width, that you remember. So for that we will find out what will be the drag force. So this is what is the formula to calculate what is the drag force it is going to experience. And how wall stress is varying, you can see that wall stress is varying. You see, if you consider the other quantities are constant, only x, function of x, so you can see that tau wall is somehow proportional to 1 by square root of x. So as x increases, you can see that wall shear stress is gradually decreasing. Initially the wall shear stress is very high. Okay, so basically the wall shear stress is gradually decreasing like that along the x, as you can see the. Anyway, so to solve this problem, so we have to do the integration. The expression of the wall shear stress is known, so we have to do the integration. So what we are going to do, you see that you take L is equal to 2, that is given in the problem, and D we are writing given an something variable named D, and that D is equal to what, integral, look at the syntax, then within bracket we are writing what, at the rate y, because let us consider y is the variable. It doesn't matter whether you write it x, y or z, but what you are writing variable here, the same thing you have to write here. What important, that is important. Okay, now at the rate y, then wall shear is basically that particular function that is the that actually calculates the shear stress at x. So shear stress at x, that is calculated, that particular function we have to create of name wall shear. So let us see that How we have created that? Here you just remember, this is what is the formula for the wall shear stress any location, 0.332 u infinity root over rho mu u infinity x to the power minus half. So we have just created that function file. This is what is the function file. You see that function, that is the thing you have to write, for the function file. Then you give any variable name, say t represents a wall shear stress, that is the output, and is equal to wall shear is the important thing. This is what is the function name, wall shear. Then within bracket I've written x. X is the thing that you have to put, that you have to give. This is what is the variable. So rho is equal to 900, velocity is equal to 1, viscosity is equal to 0.06, then t is equal to 0.332 into velocity square root of rho, viscosity, velocity. Here you see that now when we have written that x to the power minus half, remember this x can be a vector quantity. X can be a vector quantity in general, because maybe this value of x in a numerical calculation we are going to give as in this way, that means that different discrete values. It is not a continuous value, discrete value. Some x that is containing maybe all the values from 0 to 2 meter length, but actually some discrete values. So it is basically a matrix. So you have to remember that it is a vector quantity, and when you want to multiply with some matrix, element by element operation when you want to do, then instead of multiplication you have to use dot multiplication, and for the power you have to use a dot to the power. Okay, so dot to the power and dot multiplication, that is what important. After that everything is simple. That function wall shear already created in this way. Then finally you have to give the range. X will from 0 to L. L already we have defined as 2. So it will take all this value, and if you give enter, it will automatically calculate what is the total drag. It is coming 6.9. Okay. So now let us see what are the assignment problems given. So first assignment problem is given, that the same problem that we have done. The problem is you use the Simpson's 3/8 rule to solve the problem. Take N20, A1 and B2, because here we have done a Simpson's 1/3 trapezoidal, but we have not done Simpson's 3/8 rule. We have the formulas for the Simpson's 3/8 rule, so hopefully you can do this assignment easily. Now coming to the second problem. Second problem, again the finding out the drag problem over a plate, but instead of a direct MATLAB integral function, you use the numerical integration like trapezoidal rule or Simpson's 1/3 rule to solve that problem. Okay, so that is again very simple. It's an integration problem. So L is equal to 2, N is equal to 100. Let us divide it into 100 segments, and A is equal to 0.001 and B is equal to L. So here it is important. For the Simpson's 1/3 rule, you have to remember that N should be even numbered. So I have taken 100. One thing is important, that why instead of a 0, I have taken A is equal to 0.001. A is equal to 0.001 and B is equal to L, because A to B we have to integrate of that particular function, and that function is basically tau into dx, and that A is equal to 0, B should be L, but instead of 0 I have written A is equal to 0.001. The reason is that at A is equal to 0, that tau function is infinite. If you observe the value of tau function, it is proportional to 1 by root over x. So exactly at x is equal to 0, if you observe that tau becomes infinite. So in a leading edge, basically the shear stress is infinite. So what we are doing to avoid that, we are just starting something value which is 0 plus. Okay, 0 plus some epsilon, and that epsilon we have taken as 0.001, not exactly 0. So that thing you have to remember, otherwise your area under the curve will become infinite. Okay. same h, create a x, from a to b with h. So all these things are exactly how we have done earlier. And finally, if you want to see the plot of wall shear stress, how wall shear stress vary, that I have just plotted to check how wall shear stress is changing with x. But our job was to find out the drag force, and for the drag force, I have used the in Simpson's one-third rule. You see the Simpson's one-third rule with increment 2, as you can see, exactly in the same way. I have just copy paste that part here. Only I have replaced that f as a function tau. So I have created a function tau, and within that function tau, basically that shear stress function was there. It is exactly the same function as wall shear, the same function wall shear. Okay, so that you have to replace, and remaining thing is exactly same. You will find that the solution which is coming is 6.95, whereas in case of a trapezoidal rule, if you apply, it is coming 7.14, whereas the actual value of integration, if you remember, it is 6.9005. 6.9005. So this value is pretty close, as you can see, 6.95, and this is 7.1. Okay, definitely you can increase the number of segments. Okay, thank you.